Good morning, traders. What is up? Good morning, good morning. As you guys are logging in, if you haven't already, go hit that like button. All right, taking a look here. I'm actually in a little short pre-market, small position, stop losses at break even. Looking for it to first take profit is the gap fill from yesterday's close, and then potentially coming down to like this 790, 800-ish level. Ultimately looking for longs, but I think pullback first. This red line is still the anchored VWAP from that recent low from Monday. So that is my target. That's kind of the line in the sand for longs for me, is this 790 area. If it drops below that and starts to hold below that, I'll change my plan and probably go for shorts. But for now, just kind of looking for a pullback and a spot to enter long. We do have our Asia low, like overnight low from the open last night is at 25,860-ish. That was the 6 p.m. open. And then we have Asia low at 25,900, which is the top of this gold like support resistance zone that I have. So we have lots of potential bounce areas. So for me, kind of just staying patient, watching, looking left to see if we have any liquidity grabs for a bounce. We do have some news today. Jolts, I think. Let me look. Did it go away? I thought we had jolts today. I took a screenshot on Sunday and it did show Jolt at 10 o'clock and now it's gone. That's interesting. Do we not have news anymore today? We have some earnings. Let me pull up Forex Factory. Financial Juice doesn't show it. Oh, that's right. Government shutdown. Well, I guess we don't have news today. But we do have, obviously, government shutdown, so that's something to be aware of. And then Trump has a couple of like meetings and signings today. One's at 11 o'clock, one's at 2 o'clock. And then we have a couple of earnings. Not any like super big earnings today. Tomorrow we have Google. That'll be a big one. And then Amazon on the next day, on Thursday. So I guess maybe with the government shutdown, we could be going back to no more like PMI and jobless claims and Michigan sentiment and all the data releases. Good morning, team. What's up? What's up? Alrighty, market opens in 2 minutes. What you guys watching for in the chat? What are you guys seeing? So yeah, just looking for a pullback at the open. My first TP is at the gap fill. We do have Asia low at 900 right here. So that could be a spot for a bounce. Ultimately, just looking for a pullback long, but we'll see what we get. If we hold above this red line right here, 800-ish, I'll be looking for a bounce to go long. Kind of just looking for a pullback at the open. Derek, thank you. I appreciate that. And welcome. You said you're a newbie. Welcome to the channel. Only had a small position on this and no risk. I had my stop loss a couple points in profit because opening candles, New York Open makes me a little nervous with the volatility. All right, let's see if it continues down. This 849-ish is the New York session gap fill. And then let's see if it continues down. So that was that Asia low, broke right past that. We do have our 6 p.m. open down here at 862. So far, it's not really bouncing into any of the levels I was watching. Dang. All right, there's the gap fill. Let's see if it bounces here or if it just keeps dumping. Jeez. There's yesterday's value area low. We got a little bounce there. That was a pretty heavy open. Coach said, I know. So I had a good reason for entering. If you look at the higher time frame, let me get all of this junk off the chart to make it easier to see. Higher time frame, this white box I've had drawn for a couple weeks now, and it was at the top of the box and kind of rounded off a little bit. So I was just looking for the pullback. It was a good risk to reward entering way up here. So that's why I did it. Sometimes getting into a pre-market position is actually good. I don't love having to sit through the volatility for the first couple minutes. But if I can get in early and like have my stop loss at break even like I did today, it's kind of a cool situation to be in. It doesn't always work out that way. If your dogs would come in from the snow, you would have been in too. Yeah, it doesn't always work out. My mornings are usually pretty hectic because I'm like getting the kids breakfast and rushed off to school. And if I have to drive them to school, I don't even like walk in the door until 8:15 my time, so 9:15 Eastern. So I have like 15 minutes to log into my computer and get ready for the open. But on the days that my husband takes the kids to school, I have a little bit more time. It's a little more relaxed. I can actually look at the charts. So I still have 2 contracts left. I have one more TP at this low of day anchored VWAP. And I'm going to leave one runner just because there is no signs of a bounce. I'm watching gold on another screen too. It's kind of choppy right now. I'm not really seeing anything I like. Anyone watching anything else? I usually have my radar on NQ and gold. Sometimes I see people in the chat talking about YM and other stuff, or oil or something. Anything else looking good? What time do I start my live stream? Usually right before the New York Open. So as soon as I can get logged in, 9:15 to 9:20ish. All right, here's that swing low anchored VWAP. Geez, there is no sign of buyers right now. We're quite a ways from any like big support levels. This gray line is our weekly anchored VWAP. But I mean, it could come down to 700 if that doesn't hold. Really, we could come down to like 550. All right, it's breaking that VWAP. Previous day value area low. I have previous day value area low up here at 835. Previous week value area low, is that what you meant? I have that one at 567. Yeah, I see this as a pretty good support area, and that's too is where that big hourly candle jumped up. My goodness. Oh, yeah, I do mark my value areas from the previous session just using the New York hours. You're talking about the whole session. Gotcha. Here is our weekly anchored VWAP. Looking for a pullback to get into shorts. Yeah. I mean, if we pulled back, I could add to my position, but there is no sign of pulling back at all. All right, this is our 15-minute range pretty much. We have about a minute left, a couple seconds left until the 15-minute range is set. So far it is holding this weekly VWAP. Gold is still just chopping around, not seeing anything I like there. So this light blue line, I need to make that a little bit darker. That is our anchored VWAP for the New York session. Now we can see it better. So it could come back up to this New York anchored VWAP and reject. Dropped it down to one contract. I just have one contract left. If it comes back up to maybe this VWAP, anchored VWAP area, and starts to sell off again, yeah, take no marvel. I had 3 contracts originally, and you can see I only have one left. The position up there shows it. So yeah, I've locked in 2/3 of it so far. Looking to find a spot to possibly add. What is our range today? $229 points so far. Well, it did come up towards that anchored VWAP. It didn't quite come up high enough to where I wanted to enter a little bit more. Let's see if it breaks out of the bottom of this 15-minute opening range. Can you guys hear my dogs in the background? There was someone delivering a package and they're freaking out. Well, kind of wondering if it might hold here. This is our weekly anchored VWAP. And we had that big dump at the open. We're not getting that continuation. I'm going to trail my stop a little bit tighter. Just passed an eval. Let's go. Good job. Which prop firm are you trading with? Legends, never heard of that one. Well, I've heard of it. I'm not familiar with it. Not familiar with the rules. I was just curious if it was one of those ones where you can activate your funded right away. Like I know, like my funded futures, you have to wait till the end of day. Tradeify, you have to wait till the end of the day. Alpha futures, you can do it immediately. Lucid, you can do it immediately. There's a couple that like within minutes after passing the eval, you can trade your funded that same day. Am I trading minis or micros? No, I'm just in micros. I started off with 3 contracts and it was a pre-market position, so I sized down. And then I've been scaling out as it's been dumping, so I just have my one little baby runner left. All right, at this point, I'm just gonna trail my stop loss pretty tight and see what I can squeeze out of it. I'm thinking it could come down here to this previous week value area low-ish, 550 or so. But it's kind of at the point where I'm not sure where it's gonna bounce. So I'll just trail my stop. Well, I guess that was the pullback. If you weren't in a short at the open, that was it. I was kind of looking for a spot to add. I was thinking of that retest of New York anchor VWAP, but I didn't quite touch it. I was being a little greedy. But that would have been the place to enter. Still trailing. Oh, you did enter there. There you go. Yeah, that was, like I said, that was the trade of the day that I've seen so far. Jeez, this is wild. You were about to long, old trader? Oh no, don't try to catch a falling knife on this one. That's dangerous. When I'm right, I'm right. This, I don't know. I mean, this is the way I like to trade. I'm not saying that to toot my own horn at all, but this is what I like to do. Smaller risk size so that I can feel more comfortable just holding it for the whole move. I was kind of talking about that a little bit yesterday too. I don't really love scalping. Going back to yesterday's open, yeah, that's something that I see. I mean, if you're a fair value gap trader, that's the fair value gap. It's also yesterday's open. There's a previous week value area low in the general vicinity. There's a high volume node at 550-ish. And that chart that I was showing you earlier with like that box on the hourly, there's a pretty big support area down at like 530 to 550. Man, we have had one green candle on this move down on the 5-minute chart. What a dump. See what happens around here. 550, 530-ish, somewhere in there. Kind of what I'm watching. Is there news? No, I haven't seen any news. There was Jolt's job openings was supposed to be at 10 o'clock, but I guess that got canceled because of the government shutdown. But I don't see, I mean, I see that a Fed speaker was speaking about 15 minutes ago. I think he's done. I don't see any red highlighted stuff popping up on Financial Juice right now. So no, I don't think the dump was any particular announcement about like airstrikes or anything like that. Your dog is barking because I heard mine. I don't know what is going on. I have 2 dogs. I guess they're working each other up. All right, kind of coming down to that area that we were talking about. Trailing tighter at this point because this is kind of the general vicinity where I could see it bouncing. All right. And we're out. I don't want to be too quick to enter a long and just like catch a falling knife like I was telling someone else not to do. But I do like this area for a possible bounce. So let's see if we can find a good entry. I'll be back, guys. Let me see what my dogs are doing. Caught a long off of 600. Let's go. Hopefully you took some profits before it started to come back down. What do I think of the consistency rule on props? I actually don't think it's bad. I am currently not trading with any accounts that have a consistency rule. I have the Lucid Flex, which does not have consistency, and then I have the daily payouts on Tradeify and Trade Day. But I actually, at least in the beginning, when I was kind of working through like being too greedy and over trading and not knowing when to stop, I liked the consistency rules because it made me stop. Because, you know, there's only a certain amount that you're allowed to make in a day. Otherwise, you have to significantly trade to a bigger profit target. So, you know, if your like max profit is $700, let's say, and you make $700, it makes you lock it in and walk away. So I think it's good. Some of them are easier than others. Like the direct straight to funded accounts have a 20% consistency. That's a little bit harder. But I think it teaches you good habits. And then some of them where you have an eval first and then you do an account with consistency. Like Lucid has one that's 40% consistency. Tradeify, the growth account, is 40% once you pass the eval. So the ones with 40% are really not that hard. And I wouldn't even say that 20% is hard. It just kind of forces you to like spread your profits out. You can't have any super big days. So there's pluses and minuses. I think it teaches you good habits, but it also doesn't allow you to catch a move like today where you're in a trade and you can pull more out of the market. Kind of watching this area. Like I said, I'm not going to be super quick to enter a long, but if it holds here and volume from buyers starts to show up, it could be a possible opportunity for a bounce trade up. Verisat likes this level. Waiting for 500 now. So yeah, my screen doesn't show the top, but you can see the background right here, MNQ. That's what I have my chart on right now. No problem. All right. That is why I wanted to wait for confirmation, because it kind of looked like it was bouncing and holding that level, but not really with any confirmation. Might just take your profit and run. That's a good plan. So at this point, like I've been saying, I kind of like this general level, but I would wait for confirmation that buyers are going to defend this level to go before I go long. Or if it comes back up to some of these VWAP resistance levels, we could look for a short entry. Kind of just staying patient for now. We do have our initial balance is going to be set here in about 17 minutes too. All right, evac, have a good one. Still holding here. What do you think, chat? Are we starting to find a bottom? Or is this just a consolidation before another dump? What you guys think? Jack Chin thinks it's another dump. It could be. I don't know. I like this level. Yeah, this is a huge range. Like even this little consolidation zone right here, if I was to put my stop loss below that wick, that's 50 points right there. Oh man. Come on, NQ, what are we gonna do? What you think? What you think? Ten more minutes until initial balance is set. Gold is coming back down to view up. Not sure if it's going to bounce though. Kind of looks like it's going to keep going down. I was watching for a possible long, but no, I think it's going. Kind of slowing down in the zone right here. Not super clear on where it wants to go. How do I like executing my trades through TradingView? I like it. I think there's still a little bit of a learning curve. I definitely like having the bracket orders though. That's nice. All right, I'm trying a long on gold. It did hold VWAP. It originally broke out of the 15-minute opening range. Came back down and retested VWAP, and it is bouncing. Let's see if it continues. Might not. All right, I closed out that gold long. That didn't work out. That was quick. Well, I'm glad I didn't enter that long on NQ. I was watching, but never really got the sign that I wanted for an entry. Yeah, G-Man, I have noticed that if you scale in and out, it doesn't adjust the TP, and then it doesn't allow you to modify it. You have to like take it off and add a new stop loss, at least from what I've seen. That's kind of annoying. Old Trader, I was watching the New York anchored VWAP. The like session, the overnight VWAP is down at 4881.9 is what I have. Pretty good bounce off of that support level. Let's see how this candle closes, but that's pretty nice so far. Pretty good bounce there. Some decent volume at that level too. What's it gonna be? All right, I'm going to enter. Let's see if it works out. Not going to give it much room. What do I have going on for the week? Just normal. Our weeks are pretty much the same with like kids' practices and homework and our weekly schedule and other things I have going on throughout the week. And then our weekends right now are filled up with basketball games. That's what we do on Saturday pretty much all day. Zip Air? Never heard of that before. Oh my gosh, my dogs. Sorry if that's loud, you guys. I figured out what it was. We have a septic tank at our house, and they're doing some maintenance on one of our pumps and like emptying the tank. So there's people in the backyard, and they're barking at them. They want to go play. Alrighty. As of now, we do have our initial balance set. So this is our IB low. Looks like it's coming back down to at least retest that, if not continuation lower. Kind of watching to see what happens at this initial balance low. If we get any sort of bounce. Still kind of hovering here. Looks like it wants to come down and at least test this initial balance low. You think it's going down to 25,170? It's a long way from here. Think it's going all the way down to previous day low, huh? It could. I think if it's going to continue dropping that much more, it might need to come back up to grab some more liquidity and then drop. Still hasn't come back down to that initial balance low. Still kind of hovering there. So if we get a move up first, I would look for a rejection from probably like 720 to 750 level and possibly take a short from there. Getting a little barcode action here. All right, guys, I want to tell you what I am watching for, and then I got to hop off to go to a meeting. But I think if we get a move up first and a rejection at either this high of day anchored VWAP right here or our overnight VWAP at 770-ish, I would look for a short to continue back down to initial balance low. That would be my short scenario. Or if we come down first and there's a quick liquidity grab below initial balance with a quick buy up, I would possibly look for a long. So those are the two levels that I'd be watching for, like 730-ish and then initial balance low. So I'm going to set an alert here at 7:20 just to kind of make me come look at the charts again and see what's happening in this general area. And then I'll set an alert down here at initial balance low to watch if we get a bounce there. But that's kind of my game plan. Just chopping here right now. No clear game plan on this area. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. If you guys aren't already, hop in the Discord. I'll share, if I take any trades, I'll share them in there. And then I will be back tomorrow to trade some more. Hopefully you guys are finishing off the day green. And then if you guys are getting any new prop firm accounts, use code Krista. I'd appreciate it. I'll see you in the Discord chat, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one, gang.